When life gets real, the mic stays warm. Hosted by the dad with lots of charm. Insights are sharp and data's tight. The lens already and the joke's online. Hot takes, real talk, keeping it true. From high school halls to podcast cues, live and learn a lot. Turn it up, this show is hot. Grab your coffee and let's get into it. No filter, no fluff, just real talk. Let's do it. Ready or not, here we go. It's time for Murphman to start the show.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to today's episode, everybody. How are we doing today?
Doing good. How we doing today?
Doing good. Extend. Sorry about that, you guys. Just a little bit of
Okay, what are you doing?
All right. So before we begin today, you guys, we have the episode 23.
Hold on. Hello. It won't let me go live on Instagram.
Then don't worry about it.
Okay. Where's my cam? Doo-doo.
All right. Sorry about that. All right. Time got away from us this morning. We were here talking and everything, and we just got a little distracted. I do apologize for that. Now, today's episode 23, Campus Culture and Identity, Finding Belonging and Building Your People. This is something that a lot of people don't realize that we need to have here, because when you have your own people, what does that mean, Connor, to you?
I don't know, people that usually get me, I guess, that are similar.
Or similar, right? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, some of these things will apply to you, Connor, specifically, because you're a college student, or this is going to be real general. So if I say something and you're like, well, that doesn't apply to me, it doesn't have to. Okay. But before I begin, I do want to say that I am the Murphman. I'm the host of Hot Takes with the Murphman, and I have my views and my son here, Connor. He's my co-host. Our views are ours and ours alone. We are not experts. We don't pretend to be anybody famous or anything. We just are here to talk about whatever we are hitting up. And when we talk about it, it's our views, and it's literally unfiltered. Maybe sometimes some adult language might slip out, but most of the time it won't, right? We're getting better at that, Connor. All right, so if you're ready for a frank discussion, just get this episode started, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Before we begin the actual show, is there anything going on in the world right now that you're interested in?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No, not really. What do you think is interesting that's going on?
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on with ICE.
Okay,
You know,
well, I'm not interested in that, so.
Okay,
But
you
go
know,
ahead.
here in El Paso, the Fit Fam's always showing them the raids and everything. So I just wonder if this is happening all over the country or just on border cities. Like Minnesota, you know, isn't really a border city per se, but it is a border city with Canada.
True.
You know, so it's the Border Patrol can function 100 miles from the border, but ICE has nationwide capabilities. So, yeah, that stuff's going on. It's pretty sad. People are going to work one day and they're not able to come back to their families at night. You know, they're just trying to earn a living, and this sucks.
Yeah.
At least I think it does. You know, what about you, Connor?
I don't really have an opinion on it, honestly. It does suck what they're doing, but I mean, can't control it.
You're right. So I think it's time we ignite the fuse for today's show. What do you think, Connor?
Sounds good.
The number one lie you've been told about fitting in is wasting your time. Welcome to Hot Takes with the Murphman. Today we are talking about campus culture and identity, finding belonging, and building your people. Today's episode is all about a core human need, belonging. College is more than academics. It's a time to explore who you are and where you belong. This episode helps students navigate identity, community, and culture on campus so they can build a support system that feels like home. The fuse is lit. Murph Man, take the mic.
You know, since I teach psychology, there's something that I talk about called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do you remember any of that in high school, in your psychology classes?
No, not really.
We've talked about it before. Do you remember when I talked about the needs we have, the belonging, safety, security, all of that?
Yes.
You know, this is an episode about that, pretty much, if you really think about that. So
Okay.
let me just give you guys the quick rundown on what Maslow is. The first need is safety needs. And what safety needs are is every, I'm sorry, physiological needs are all the food, shelter, clothing, water, everything that you need on a regular basis that will help you uh, live, survive. Okay. And then you have the safety needs, which is the needs to be safe and secure. Excuse me.
Oh, you didn't press live when you were changing it on Streamlabs.
I did.
No, because
Okay, well, press it then. You did live on Splitcam.
yeah.
No, you're fine. So then safety security needs are having those things on a regular basis and being safe and secure and not being in danger. Then you have the third phase, which is belonging. That's what we're going to be talking about today is once you have a friend, you can go on and you feel like more than just yourself. You're not an individual anymore. You're now part of a group. Then you have the esteem needs when you look back on your life and you say, okay, this is what I've done with my life and I'm happy or I'm not happy. And if you're not happy, you change it. And then last, you have self-actualization, which is all your needs are met. Okay. And to put in perspective, think of a caveman. They have to go hunt for their food every day, right? They don't have food available to them like a refrigerator or storing. They have to eat and kill whatever they're going to eat for that moment. So if they don't catch something, they're not going to get their food for the day, and they're going to starve. They have to be near a water source so they can have good water. They can have shelter in a cave. That's your safety and security needs. Okay, they weren't building houses, right? They have caves.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're not the only cavemen out there. There's actually a group of cavemen somewhere else, right? So eventually they become either enemies or friends, right? And you have babies and your family grows. Now you belong to a family, and and then you have self-esteem. You look back and you look at your cave and you're like, that's a pretty cool cave. All right. And then last but not least, self-actualization, which we already talked about. All your needs are met. So as we talk about that and we talk about belonging, I want you to think about that Maslow's theory. All right. But I think right now it's time to get to the burning question. What do you think, Connor?
Sounds great.
Here's today's burning question.
The secret that separates connected students from the lonely ones. Today's question is related to our main topic of finding your place and your people on campus. Here it is. What is the term for campus organizations that are centered around shared identities or experiences, such as cultural, religious, or LGBTQ+ groups? Is it A. Affinity groups, B. Intersectionality, or C. Belonging groups? Let's kick it back to the Murph Man to get today's answer in The Flashpoint.
you guys understand that finding the group is important. Okay. You want to go to college and you can't live by yourself. You got to live in a group. It's all about groups, right?
Hmm.
You've gone to college, you made friends, right? We talked about circle of friends and all your group chats. And you said you have one group chat in general, right?
Yeah.
So you want to talk about what happened last night that your friend had needed help?
Well, it wasn't my friend. It was a friend's friend, but nah, I'm good. I was too tired to deal with it, bro.
Well, it wasn't drama, but I
It
mean,
wasn't. It was just my friend my friend went to the club and then her friend got drunk and she couldn't deal with her by herself, so we just went to help and then yeah.
well, yeah, that's my point though. If she didn't have you as a friend, who would have helped her?
I don't know.
See, and that's the point. That belonging, that group, even though it wasn't your friend, you helped your friend. If your friend and you were not friends, they wouldn't have been able to ask you for help, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about that, you think of the affinity groups and those campus organizations, fraternities is a good example of that, right? You sit there and you talk to people and you become friends in fraternities and whatnot. Um, when you're in college, you've heard about fraternities and whatnot, right? No one's approached you about joining any fraternities or anything, right?
Not anymore.
You know, um, why didn't you join when they asked you?
'Cause I don't want to join.
Because
I just don't want to.
is that something you're interested in?
No. I'm not interested in fraternities at all.
In what?
In fraternities, I'm not
You're not?
interested.
How about sororities? No, I'm kidding.
Funny.
That sense of belonging is so important. Going to UTEP a couple months ago at a college game, they had a group of students that took off their shirts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And turtle shirts and everything. Then it got bigger and bigger. Then UTEP did it, and you were at that game, right? How did that feel doing that?
I mean, good.
Just getting silly with your friends, right?
Yeah.
And
And with random people.
right? That's belonging, whether you realize it or not. You're part of that group. In the club that we belong to, there's chapters all over the world. There's thousands of chapters, and wherever we go in any city, we have friends. If we want to go look for those friends, right? That's pretty cool. When I was having to go to Colorado for different things like courts for my dad's case and whatnot, um, I wrote an email to the group. I said, "Hey, can anyone put me up for a couple days? I'm going to go up there for a court." And this one girl who I didn't even know says, "Yeah, come stay with me." Right? So I did, and she didn't know me, but she's like, "He said he's coming here for court." What kind of court? And it turns out, my father had been murdered, and I was going to go testify as a witness and whatnot. And she's like, "Oh, okay," because I said I would take him. Then I realized he's coming for court. Maybe he's some kind of murderer or something,
Mhm.
you know. But because she knew me through the group, she offered me that couch, and we've had people stay with us, right?
Mhm.
We have a friend named Alex. He likes to drink a lot, and he passed out on our bathroom floor one day. Remember that? That's why I tell you, Connor, anytime you rent an apartment or buy a house, make sure you have at least 2 bathrooms. Because we just left him there with the pillow and a blanket and let him sleep in the bathroom. Remember?
Mhm.
Got some pictures of him on the floor. Pretty funny stuff there. But belonging is so important because it's who we are. You know what I mean? It is who we are. And when you find that group and you belong, you feel accepted. And that's very important for our psyche, for our personality. But right now, I think it's time to do today's hot take so we can get started with that. All right.
Mhm.
Here's today's hot take.
Everyone tells you to blend in, but the truth is, your identity is your superpower. Today's hot take is belonging isn't about fitting in by shrinking your identity. It's about finding the people and places that allow you to show up as your full, authentic self. College is a time to explore who you are and where you belong. Murph Man, it's your turn to fan the flames.
All right. Where you belong. That's basically what I've been talking about, right? That's today's hot take. You know, I almost didn't show you the statistic, Connor, but the research is clear. Students who feel a sense of belonging are 50% more likely to persist to graduation.
What does that mean?
If you're able to make friends and you're social and you're able to feel like you're belonging, at least even to the college, you'll have a better chance at succeeding and graduating. You know, there's people that go to school, they don't really talk to anybody, they don't try to make friends. They go to school, they go to work, you know, they don't belong in clubs or chapters or sororities, fraternities. They just go to school and come back. And that's not really a sense of belonging at the school. You know, what do you remember I told you what's the main thing about college for me?
Making connections.
Making connections and networking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's so important because when you look at all that, right? Those connections are what tie you to the college. And eventually you're going to become an alum of that college. And it's really cool. Like when I was at Sul Ross, you know, I used to drive 2.5 hours, 3 hours every weekend for 2.5 years to go to college over there for my graduate degree. And I made friends. And there was sometimes, you know, I would drive with people over there, and sometimes, you know, I would drive by myself. If I had a rough week, I wanted to drive by myself because that 3 hours let me clear my mind and get me situated into college. When I got there, you live in the dorm or you're in a hotel room, and it's not the best thing for graduate students who are visiting. So I'm at the hotel, and other students are at the hotel, right? Sit down together, we start talking. In this a small town, there was only a couple of restaurants we could go to. One of them became a club at night, so we'd go to the restaurant after class, eat dinner, study, and then party. And sometimes we studied all night. There were times I'd go to the lab by myself until 2:30, 3 in the morning. I'd be
Wow.
in there working on my projects. I didn't want to come home and have to type stuff. I wanted to use the computers at the school. So I felt a belonging. You know, I was also the president of the psychology club, if you will, Chi Sigma Iota. And I was a tutor for people. I made friends. You know, there's so many things I did. And what's so cool about it is I was able to feel I was part of the college, even though I never did anything at the college. I never went to any of the football games. I never did any of that stuff. But I was able to be part of the program I was in, the education program. And, you know, I got along with the teachers and I associated with them and became friends with a lot of people there. When someone says they go to college at Sul Ross, I know the sacrifices they make to get there. And sometimes it's one of those things where just the fact that I went to school and they went to school there, we become friends. Isn't that weird?
Not really. I
You don't
mean,
think so?
no, I've connected with people from like other schools. I mean,
In high school?
yeah.
Yeah, but it was from a friend of a friend, right?
No, actually, no.
Like, how'd you meet those people at Irvin
Chapin.
or Chapin? Okay, how'd you
Mm,
meet them?
I met them because UTEP had a parties group chat and they were all in there.
They had a what group chat?
A parties group chat.
A parties group chat? Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
It was just, it's not from UTEP, obviously, but it's like,
obviously.
so we were just talking there and then no one else was talking. So we made our own group chat and we all met up at the club for the first time
Okay,
around Halloween. So I met him from there and then we talked about like with school and all that and
okay.
just connected because we all came from El Paso. Not from El Paso, but like we all,
Well, Yeah, you all were here.
state. Yeah.
So, saying you did that networking and that belonging even before you got to the college. It's such an important aspect of it. It really is. Making friends is so important, you know. And like I said, 50% of people who are able to socialize are able to make those friends and be able to graduate a lot easier. Okay. Before we dive deeper, though, I think we got to cover some terms that we're going to be talking about today. We talked about Maslow already, but we're going to talk about laying down the coals and a few more key terms. Okay.
Okay.
Here we have laying down the coals. Stick around. We'll be right back.
3 things you must know before you join any campus group. Before we dig in, let's clarify some of the key terms we'll be using today while laying down the coals. Belonging. This is the feeling of being accepted, valued, and connected within a community. Affinity groups. As we mentioned, these are campus organizations centered around shared identities or experiences. Intersectionality. This is the idea that our social identities, like race, gender, and class, are all interconnected and shape our experiences. Now that the coals are laid, Murphman, let's discuss the foundation.
Belonging, the feeling of being accepted. Affinity groups, campus organizations centered around shared identities and experiences. And then you have intersectionality. This is the idea that our social identities like race, gender, and class are all interconnected and share our experiences. Now, I do want to ask you a question, Connor.
What's up?
When you think about yourself, okay, you're sort of Mexican, but not real Mexican, right?
Yeah.
Which group of friends do you feel more comfortable with? People who are Hispanic or people who are non-Hispanic or from a different race?
So Hispanic or not Hispanic?
Is that who you feel more comfortable with?
Well, I
Hispanic
mean,
or non-Hispanic?
yeah,
Okay,
either
it's or either one.
either one.
So Hispanic has nothing to do with it.
No, that you just asked the question weird. That's it.
Okay, but
But
if you have a
not-
group of friends that are Hispanic and they speak a lot of Spanish,
I mean, I'd be okay with it, but yeah,
okay. So who would you prefer to hang out with then?
I told you both.
Both?
Yeah,
Okay, but
multiracial groups.
okay. When they ask you, are you Mexican or Hispanic? And your answer is yeah. They're like, why don't you speak Spanish? You just never learned.
Oh, yeah.
One of the funniest comments that Connor made for me as a kid was he was worried that I was going to get deported because I was Mexican. And I told Connor, I'm 50% Mexican, but you, Connor, are 75% Mexican. So if anyone's getting deported, it's you. And you're like, no. It's pretty funny. That was something you did as a little kid.
I
And you're
was
worried
like,
about all your friends who are Hispanic too.
yeah, true. That was in like 4th grade.
It was. No,
I
it
didn't-
was.
I had no idea.
You're right. And that's what I think is so funny. But let's put some of these terms into context, you guys. Seeking is a sense of belonging. In the United States, college campuses are more diverse than ever. For example, national enrollment data shows that approximately 40% of all college students are non-white. And that number is predicted to keep growing.
Hmm.
Okay. This is a massive shift. This is something that organizations are realizing. And the affinity groups are more important than ever. Trump did away with DEI. Okay. So that's something that's changed a lot since Trump took over. The whole pronouns, he, she, they, them, right? You're not allowed to use those anymore. And there's still free speech. So that's why a lot of these clubs can still go on. And what I find interesting is when you go to a campus and you try to find these clubs, you can find them at the student union. They have like a poster board, right? Where you can have it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that poster board will tell you all these clubs are meeting on these dates at these times at these locations, or these events are going on. All right. I don't know how much you get in your email about clubs. Do you get any email? No, right?
Clubs, no.
Because that's a college thing. Clubs are sort of separate from it, you know. But it's a way to help people find their space, you know. Today, I want to talk about this story from the fire that I talk about. It's something that'll put some of this stuff into perspective. So let's talk about the story from the fire.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever felt like the only person of color in the room, listen up. Sam feels out of place at their predominantly white institution. After attending a meeting at the campus multicultural center, they find a group of students who share their background and values. That space becomes their anchor, and their confidence grows immensely. That was a story from the fire. Murph Man, are you feeling the heat?
All right. I thought it was mine.
I was like, I'm like, no, we're not doing it again.
All right. So Sam felt out of place and had to find his group, his belonging, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, here we have a very diverse population. We have a lot of Korean background here in El Paso. We have a lot of blacks. We have a lot of Hispanics. There's also a pretty big group of Indian, Pakistani, that kind of groups. In your program, how many people, or what do you think is the predominant group in your program?
In my program?
Yeah.
Define program.
Your cybersecurity program, your computer engineering.
I have no idea. I've never been in computer science.
Okay. In your classes, your teachers, your students are taking
it's
classes.
not
you have
computer
taken.
classes. Is what I'm trying to say. I haven't taken any of those yet.
Okay.
You were just talking about my major.
Okay, yeah. I get that.
Well,
You haven't talked to anybody in the engineering program. No
No.
advisors, no teachers, no nothing.
no, because I haven't seen them. I've only seen my advisor. That's it.
So this is the first semester you're going to have.
With everything, yes.
Okay.
This is my first time starting computer science classes.
There's a charter school here in town that's run by a family from Turkey. And a lot of the teachers there are from Turkey. And a complaint from a lot of students is their accents are so thick that they can't understand them. Is that legitimate?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
right.
understand that. Yeah.
You know, that happens at every college, every campus, all around the country or all around the world. You know, there are people who are working and they're from other countries. They get the job here. And sometimes their accent is very thick. And we have a friend of ours who's in physics, right? She has a very thick accent sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, you could understand her though.
Yeah, you can. I'm saying every now and then she'll say something and you know it's hard to understand.
Yeah.
But she's overcome her accent for the most part. It's really cool to have friends from different races, different cultures. You know, when I was in Guantanamo Bay in Cuba for 6 months, I was able to go eat at different mess halls. Those are where we would eat, right? And there's contractors that work at on base. Well, I hung around with the Filipinos. And it's really funny because I don't know if you know this or not, Do you remember Trina, the girl who came on with us a couple episodes into the podcast? When we were talking about Philippines, she was like, "How do you know so much?" I said, because I hung around with them. Tagalog is a very difficult language to learn. Okay, but they're influenced by the Spaniards who populated them, who invaded them and made them a territory and everything. So their influence is a lot of Spanish. So it's interesting to talk to someone from the Philippines because a lot of things they'll say are also sound very similar to Spanish.
Mm.
You know, I got to try their food. You know, I met this one girl. She was, oh my god, I'm trying to think. There, when I think of Indian countries, there's Indian, in, Indian,
Mhm.
India, and Pakistan. But there's one more I can't think of. That's pretty.
Afghanistan,
No, that's
Saudi Arabia.
no. More Indian culture.
Okay, I don't know Indian. I'm just naming like the Europe countries.
Yeah, it was in Asia, but
Okay, well,
I forgot which. Anyway, she taught me what curry was, and it can be spicy and hot, but it has a lot of seasonings in it, and it's really cool to try different foods.
Isn't that just Pakistani?
No, there's another one I can't think of. I cannot think of. Anyway, it's not important to the conversation, but when you meet people from different cultures, different races, and everything, food is a big difference. Okay. Um, growing up in different cities, different towns, different places of the country, it's a very different world. And I'll give you an example. We went to the New York Deli here in El Paso. What did you see about that was different than other restaurants?
It was small, but had a lot of stuff in it. Well, because the deli we went to was for UTEP, so it had like stuff for the dorms, like toilet paper.
Yeah, basic necessities.
Yeah.
A lot of like microwavable meals and everything, right? But the whole restaurant, even behind the counter, it was all like items you could buy.
Yeah.
And that I told you was like a bodega in New York.
Hmm.
Because you walk into these small little places and they have everything you could ever want. And it was really cool that they kept that authentic, and when you walked into it, you felt different. It was a different, it felt different altogether. That's New York. Those little small restaurants and bar, nooks and crannies, all those little bodegas,
Like low supermarkets, yeah.
you know. Going to Chinatown when we were in DC. I know you probably don't remember that.
I remember going to Chinatown, but I don't remember what was in it.
We went to Chinatown and I was like, I want to eat at a restaurant that doesn't have an English word on the window. So we found a restaurant. We went in. Everything was in Chinese, and I used my translator app. I took a picture of the menu, and I was able to see what it was, and I ordered. I actually was able to copy and paste the text, and I pressed the button, told the waitress, "This is what I want." And she says, "You could ask me in English." I'm like, "Oh, well, I wasn't trying to make any assumptions here." You know what I mean? But I try to get as authentic as possible because we're not going to go to China. You know what I mean? But in Chinatown or Little Italy in New York, all these subcultures inside of a city are so interesting. Here we have the Segundo Barrio. When you go to the bakeries, you have the conchas. You know what a concha is?
Well, yeah.
Do you like conchas? Which one do you like? Chocolate, vanilla, strawberry?
Strawberry.
Now, I'm not a big fan of strawberry, but I'll eat it when I have a craving for it.
Yeah, that's my top one. The strawberry. I think it's strawberry. I don't know if I like the vanilla one. Actually, I don't think I've had it. I don't think I've had chocolate and vanilla. It's only been strawberry.
when you go to a bakery that is Mexican, the goods there are very different than going to Albertsons bakeries, right? You know, it's a completely different set of food.
Oh yeah.
There was a restaurant, not a restaurant, a store here that would sell tamales, and they had like sweet tamales, which is usually anise or raisin, right? But they had like pineapple, they had strawberry, they had mango, really interesting combinations, you know. And I turned to your mom, who was, you know, from Mexico, and she says, "I've never had any of this," you know. So just because it's Mexican doesn't mean it's Mexican food, or Hispanic is Hispanic food. It's just stuff that people make to try different things, you know, Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, as we talk about these terms, we need to get into more of the nitty gritty. And we're not going to do the heat map right now. We're going to go on break, and then we'll be right back, and we'll talk about the heat map and those things that you can use to give you guidance. We'll be right back.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at MB Radio.
According to the VA's suicide data report, an average of 22 veterans die by suicide every single day. This figure is a sobering reality and a crisis that demands our immediate attention and compassion. We must recognize and address the fact that every 24 hours, 22 veterans are losing their lives to suicide. The war doesn't always end when our veterans come home. The invisible wounds they carry, wounds that are real and heavy, require continuous support. No veteran should have to carry this burden alone. Many veterans experience stress and disconnection as they navigate life after service. But there is hope, there is help, and you are not alone in this fight. There's a vibrant community ready to support you, offering friendship, understanding, and shared experiences. You served your country, now let us serve you. Don't fight the toughest battle in silence. Your mission now is to reach out. Dial 988, then press 1. Text them at 838255. The Veterans Crisis Line is available 24/7. Every day, we save lives. Your life is invaluable, and your service is honored. Let's work together to make 22-0 again. No veteran should face their struggles alone. Together, we can ensure every veteran finds the support and hope they deserve.
He gets help, but he still feels off. Sees an ad on the TV about a dog batting said, "This is a man's best friend." Whoa, so he goes one day and he picks it up. Never thought a dog could bring so much love and put a smile on his face. But he's finally found a saving grace. He needs help, but he don't know the path to take or the way to go to be free. Put his mind at ease. We will help, 'cause we can't stand to see a soldier go to God by their own hands. We will do everything we can to make 22-0 again.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man.
All right.
Oh, we're back.
We are back from break. And, you know, real quick, for those of you who are watching the video there is help 24/7, 365. Dial 988, press 1, and someone can talk to you if you feel like doing anything to hurt yourself. Remember, you're not alone. And I can tell you right now, there are friends that I have that have used that number. Myself, I have not, but there are friends who have used it, So I think that's a really interesting concept, just 3 numbers, 988, press 1, and you can get the help you need. So I think that's really interesting. But now I want to get into what we call the heat map, that actionable steps that you can take to belong. So here's our heat map for today.
The fastest way to find your people without feeling awkward. Here is the heat map to find your community. Visit your campus cultural centers, identity-based organizations, or student unions. Attend events that celebrate different cultures and perspectives. Reflect on your own values and actively seek out communities that align with them. The map is drawn. Back to Murphman for the next segment.
So the fastest way to find your people without feeling awkward. Visit your campus cultural centers. That's one of those things that you can do. The student union. There's a lot of different things you can do there. Attend events that celebrate different cultures and perspectives. There's a Greek community here in El Paso. I don't know. We've never gone to their festival.
Well, because we're not Greek.
Right, but we could still go to the festival and experience the Greek culture.
I mean, do you want to go experience Greek culture?
Well, I haven't taken you, so what does that tell you?
So no.
What I'm saying is, at your school, you might hear about it, and your friends might want to go to it. Go. There's no harm in going. You might not have any interest in it, but you might go get exposed to something you didn't know, and boom, you're into something new. And one thing I've tried to do with you is I try to expose you to as many things as possible, whether you wanted to or not. I know you hate museums, but I try to expose you to different things, different ideas, different thoughts. Foods is something that you're learning how to eat differently now. You're not as picky as you used to be as a little kid. Like yesterday we had a Reuben sandwich, and you're like, no, thank you, I've tried it. Like, where? I was like so shocked. Remember, that you're trying stuff that I'm not around to. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah.
So it's like, wow. So well, what if you would have liked the Reuben sandwich? You know what I mean?
Then I would have eaten it, but
right.
I mean, I don't know.
But Reuben sandwiches are really awesome. When I think of Reuben, I think of the pig from Minecraft.
I hate you so much. I forgot about that.
Oh no, I never forget about that. For those of you who don't know, there's a game called Minecraft, which most people have heard about, right? And when you look at all that, it's funny because the story mode has you. Is it the first episode, the first story section?
Yeah,
it is, right? He has this little pig that he goes around with, and the pig's name is Reuben. And this pig goes with you everywhere you go in the game, and then at some point, the pig dies, and he becomes a pork chop. And Connor was so angry when that happened. He was just so pissed. And I found that very humorous because I even felt bad because I was watching them play the game at that moment. And I was like, okay, let's see this game, whatever Minecraft is about. And then the pig died. And I still think it's so funny. Connor's still traumatized by that pig.
I'm not traumatized, okay?
We don't even eat pork chops anymore, Connor.
We never ate pork chops. Stop trying to make it sound like just because of Reuben. God. We never ate pork chops. Shut up.
We do eat pork chops. I don't know if you remember at the restaurant we went to, the little steaks. Those are pork chops.
Okay, which restaurant though? There's a lot.
The taco buffet.
Well,
They have the little steaks, the pork chops. Anyway, also you want to reflect on your own values and actively seek out communities that align with them. This is one of those where you have beliefs and thoughts. And for example, and I'm not going to ask you, I'm not even going to discuss it, but if you were either for or against abortion, and you meet someone who's either for or against abortion,
like the opposite?
right? That might be a really big deal.
Well, I guess, yeah.
Okay. What's really funny is your mom, when she was having you, she tells me, if something happens and you have to choose me or the baby, choose the baby. And I'm like, why would I do that? You know?
Yeah, we just make another one. It's fine.
But I was like, losing my wife and then having to be a single dad. Who knew that would happen years later, right? But I was like, why would I do that? And your mom, her belief was she was against abortion 100%. So even saving her life would have been something that would have gone against her beliefs. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You know, so one piece of advice I do give everybody, is pay attention to this. The advice I'm going to give you is, if your spouse is pregnant, have the discussion about what you should do if one of this horrible situations comes up and you have to make a decision between choosing your spouse having the baby or having the baby live. Okay. Believe me, if you don't have that discussion, if you make the wrong decision, for example, and you keep your wife and she hates you for the rest of her life for killing the baby, that's something that can be avoided by having the conversation about this. So make sure you guys talk to your spouses about that. You know, but that's a little, I digress. That's a little side note there. But when we talk about the heat map, those actionable steps is you got to go out there and you got to take action. It's called a call to action is what it's called. You have, excuse me, you have control over your life and you can choose what to do or not to do. So make sure when you think about all those things, you're able to do something to change your situation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're not helpless. All right. But after the heat map, we give you the actionable steps you can use right now. And when we return, the next segment is going to be where you'll get burned. See, return burned. Just my brain there. Let's talk about where you could get burned, those pitfalls to avoid.
Stop shrinking yourself to fit in. It's actively hurting your future. A few pitfalls to avoid. Don't try to fit in by hiding parts of your identity. Show up as your full self. Don't assume you're alone. There is a group or space for you on campus. Your job is to find it. Don't avoid hard conversations. Lean into opportunities to listen and learn from others. Danger zone identified. Back to Murph Mann for the warning.
All right. Stop shrinking yourself.
Stop shrinking yourself.
Yeah, to fit in. Okay, it's hurting your future. Don't change for your friends. How many times have I told you that, Connor?
A lot.
You know, if your friends are making you do things you don't want to do, or you're doing things that they don't want to do, don't give up those things because you have your life to live, you know, and make sure you don't shrink yourself to fit in. I think that's a very important statement there. And don't try to fit in by hiding parts of your identity. You know, be genuine and be your full self. You know, a lot of people who, like, for example, are gay and they haven't come out of the closet and they finally do. Sometimes they're accepted, sometimes they're not, you know. There's one time I went to get a haircut and I went to Craigslist and to find places that do haircuts, right? I don't know why.
But all the places.
Of all the places, yeah. Okay. I was just curious what Craigslist was. And you could, you know, there's stuff on there that was like for sexual services, whatever. That's why it got shut down. But I went to go get a haircut. And when I walked in, it was a house. I didn't realize that, right? And it was a trans person that cut my hair.
Oh.
And I don't care about that. That's not the point of the story.
Okay.
But years later, I'm at a party and my friend comes in with that person and introduces them as their girlfriend. And I was like, I didn't know he was gay. You know? And I was like, maybe the person transitioned. Maybe they hadn't. But maybe if he hadn't, then turns out my friend was probably gay or bi. Everyone was like, you know, whispering. That didn't change me being friends with that person. But I was like, oh, interesting, you know? And it was just a really awkward moment for me. I don't know why.
Because you weren't expecting it?
Yeah, I guess so. And the guy probably felt unwelcomed at that moment because everybody was talking about him. But it wasn't that. It was shocked. We all thought we knew this guy, and turns out we didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no one went up to him and said, "Oh, I didn't know whatever." No one cared, but we cared enough to be like shocked. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know. Also, you don't want to assume that you're alone. You know, there's a group or space somewhere on campus that you'll fit into, and I think you've learned that. Being on campus, you go around different places, and you feel more comfortable in one place versus the other, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's your people, maybe that's just the ambiance, the atmosphere, the environment, whatever it is, you feel you belong there. You know, going out with your friends, going to the clubs, same thing. You know, the guy we had on the show a couple of weeks ago, Javi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we became friends, and we tried to go out, and it was the holidays, and every place we went to was dead. I mean, it was just dead. And you know, he's from California. He's just like busier clubs and whatnot. And so I took him to the bar that I knew would be busy no matter what, and it was the Cougar Bar. And it was standing room only. It was packed, and he was looking around at all these women who were like walking around dressed all sexy and all old and everything. It was pretty funny. And he was like, "Why'd you bring me here?" I'm like, maybe you'll find somebody. I don't know, you know. But he felt so out of place because it was a mostly Mexican music and everything, and then you know some dance top 40 type stuff. But he was like, he didn't hate the vibe, but it's like this is not his vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I it's not mine either. Let me make that clear. I said, but I just had to bring you so you could say I came to Teddy's. You know. Also, one thing, like you know, it says don't avoid hard conversations. Lean into opportunities to learn from others. there are so many cultures that I don't know about because I've never met anyone from that culture. You know, I met some people from Honduras, and they're like, it's a beautiful country. You got to come visit. Venezuela, Colombia, you got to come visit. You got to come visit that part of the country. And when you think of that kind of country, you think like it's a third world country and there's nothing modern about it, but that's not the case. You know, have you seen the TikToks about Japan by any chance? Like how clean they are? You know, like they don't really have public trash cans. So, yeah. So you got to carry your trash with you. They don't litter, you know. In Dubai and Saudi Arabia, it is a very, very, very safe country. You can literally leave your wallet and a stack of cash on the hood of your car and leave and come back in 8 hours and it'll still be there. Okay, because the punishments for stealing are so big, you know, that no one does it. But when you meet someone from a different culture, there's questions to ask, right? Like, if you meet someone who is Chinese, what's the one question you would want to ask them? Is there anything?
How long did it take you to speak the language? I mean, I don't know.
Okay. You know, a lot of countries, like we teach Spanish here and French, they teach English. And some people get into business and they take it a little further. They really learn the language. You know, foreign exchange students, you know. That was something I thought of doing, like housing a foreign exchange student, you know, because I just think it'd be cool to learn from other countries. You know what I mean? And I never did, but it was just something that, you know, I was going to think about doing, you know. It was really weird if I would have said, you know, as a single guy, I want to
have an exchange.
Yeah, an exchange student, you know. I don't know why. I just think that'd be frowned upon.
That would be looked upon. It's
you
weird.
know, so I never did, you know. I wasn't going to say in here, you know, like, let me foster a kid that's 4 years old. And that's not what I wanted. You know, I wanted to learn from different cultures. And, you know, unfortunately, I never got to do that. Maybe later down the road I can, you know.
Maybe.
But how, like, for example, if we were to host a foreign exchange student right now, and you literally would have to become friends with them for the semester or the year. And what if you don't get along with them?
If I don't, then I don't.
But you live together.
It's my house.
Right, but you wouldn't take them out with you or anything?
No.
So what's the point of them coming to be an exchange student?
I don't know. That's for them to decide.
Right. So, you know, anyway, you know, there's questions we want to ask about different cultures, and it's okay to ask those questions. You know, it can be awkward.
Somewhat awkward, yeah.
Yeah, it can be somewhat awkward. But you want to ask those questions because you want to learn about different cultures. That Greek festival I was telling you about, I have a friend of mine who invites me. Like once every 5 years, he'll call me up and be like, hey, you going to go to the festival this week? Next time he calls me, I'm going to go. You know, I just haven't gone. You know, it hasn't been something I've been really interested in doing. And what's funny, though, is when I went to a church, like one of those old churches, there was Greek Orthodox Catholics. And one of the things that they do the blessing of the cross. They do it reverse from Roman Catholics.
Hold on. I accidentally clicked. I hate this. My bad. Continue.
They do the cross different from the Roman Orthodox. They do it backwards. And it's just one of those things that you never knew, you know. Women have to wear skirts. So, like, if you're wearing jeans, they make you put on a skirt over your jeans so you can go into the church. You know, it was interesting, right? When we went to Mexico City and we went to all the basilicas and all the churches and everything over there, it was really, they were beautiful places, right?
Very beautiful.
You know, and they were really nice to look at. But when you think about the oldest church in North America, you know where it is?
Oldest church?
Sanelli.
Really?
Yeah, in North
wow.
America.
How old is it or what?
I don't actually know. That's like 1700s. So do the math. Maybe even 1600s.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, but it's here in Sanelli. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. Have you heard of the Mission Trail here in El Paso?
Heard of it.
Yeah, there's missions in Sanelli, Fabens, Socorro, Clint. They have a whole bunch of missions there. You know, and that's just El Paso history, you know. But I'll tell you what, we talked about the heat map, those actionable steps we had. And we talked about laying down the coals, right? The terms. We talked about where you're going to get burned, those pitfalls to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now we need to talk about the heat shields and talk about those things that will help you protect yourself from getting burned. What do you think, Connor? You ready?
Yes.
Nobody is going to tell you this, but these 3 resources change everything. Here are your heat shields. The book, The Beauty in Breaking by Michelle Harper, is a fantastic memoir on this topic. Your campus cultural centers, LGBTQ+ resource centers, and student.org fairs are the best places to start. Use apps like Meetup, Eventbrite, or your campus app to find events happening near you. The shields are up. Murph Man, what's next?
All right. So a wonderful book on belonging is Michelle Harper's Beauty in Breaking. So if you'd like to read, check that book out. You know, I've talked about your resource centers, your campus culture. That's just something I always tell people. Go back to your campus centers, your student unions, and you'll find stuff there. But apps like the different chat groups, the different WhatsApp groups, or Instagram groups, Facebook groups, whatever you guys use, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can pass that information there. Now, when information needs to be spread quickly, those apps are very important. Like, for example, in the Northeast here in El Paso, we had a water main break. Did you hear about that?
Well, I mean, yeah.
People had to boil water for 4 days, 5 days. But that message went out to everybody immediately. That's also cool if you want to do an event last minute. Hey, let's go to this club, and everybody goes. You know what I mean?
Well, not really, but yeah.
What do you mean, not really?
Not really. No one would be like, "Oh, let's go to a club." Not everybody's gonna go. I don't even think anyone's gonna go.
But in your group of friends, your chat
That's
groups?
a group of friends, though. That's not like everyone.
Oh, I'm not talking about like the college app going, hey, let's all go to the Pink Pony Club tonight. No, I mean like as a group chat with your friends.
Well,
when you want to do something, you put one message and it goes out to all your friends at once.
Well, that's
in my day, we had to actually text people individually.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gotta suck. What?
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
No, it's TikTok saying we're not live. I'm like, we're right here talking. I don't know what they're saying. This is so weird. Well, I lost my train of thought. We had to do individual text to everybody. So if you wanted to go out Okay, I want you to think about this. How it would work. Okay, hey Connor, you want to go out tonight? Oh, I don't know. I was thinking about getting together with Ron. Oh, let me text Ron. Hey Ron, you feel like going out tonight? Yeah, I want to go to Cincinnati Street. Okay, hold on. Connor, he wants to go to Cincinnati Street. Where do you want to go? And all of a sudden, someone will say, well, let's add Billy. Yeah, text Billy and then go back and forth. We didn't have group calls. We didn't have group chats. It was just one of those things we had to do. And you know, it was really funny though, when cell phones first came out, text messages were like 40 cents each. So you had to be really careful who you texted because you could really rack up a bill. But you could call someone, and back in the day, you had plans that would say like, you have 100 minutes. I want you to think about this when it first started. You could have a plan with 100 minutes, 200 minutes, 300 minutes, whatever, right? And you had to pay for those plans, and they're not cheap. But they give you the first minute free of an incoming call. So we learned how to call and go, hey, I want to go out tonight at this place. You know, who do you want to invite? Okay, you text this, I'll text that. Okay, bye. And we'd call that person, hey, you know, Connor wants to go here or whatever. Hey, you know, we had 1 minute conversations all the time, dude. Because just you don't realize how much technology has advanced, you know. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's brought people together a lot more than it used to, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so make sure you guys go out and visit your campus resource centers, your student groups, you know, all the fairs, the festivals. Go to all that, Connor, so that you can enjoy it. But I'll tell you what.
I'll try.
Well, you should. Okay. Like tonight, we're going to get together with the guys from Stream 915, and I think it's going to be a good time because you're going to get to meet people that you haven't met before. You know, you look so thrilled. Here, put the camera on yourself so you can see how thrilled you look.
No.
You know, but I think it's time. You know, we got the tips. It's time to put to use. And in the afterburn, we talk about those questions to ask yourself so you can reflect on what you want to do. Here's the afterburn. Wait.
It's always about who you have in your corner. Here are some questions for reflection. What parts of my identity do I want to explore more deeply? Where do I feel most seen and supported on campus? How can I help other people feel like they belong? Reflection complete. Murphman, time for your final thoughts.
You know, the thing about these questions, you guys, you have to ask yourself, what do I want to learn? What do I want to have happen? Is probably the most important question, right?
Yeah.
Once you know what you want to do, then you can do things with your friends. You know, who do you have in your corner? Who's your support system? Is there any part of your life, Connor, that you've heard of that you don't know much about, but you would like to learn more about?
My life?
Yeah, just in general, like whatever you've been exposed to. Is there anything out there that you would like to learn more about?
No, I mean, not really. It doesn't come to mind, but if it happens, the opportunity just happens.
Okay.
I'm not looking forward to learning anything because I don't want to learn anything.
Your whole attitude about learning just sucks.
I hate learning.
Why are you so against learning new things?
I don't want to learn new things, dude.
So
I really don't.
That's so funny.
Like, if it happens, it happens, but I'm not looking forward to it.
All right. I feel you there.
Yeah. Like, I might like it, but I'm not, like, hoping for it.
All right. And I want you to think about on campus. Where do you think you're most seen or supported on campus? Where do you feel you can go if you need something?
Nowhere. Just my friends. That's it. I mean, my phone.
The undergraduate learning center? No.
Why would I go there for
I don't
help?
know. I'm just saying.
No, that's just to hang out. It's
Yeah.
not for help though.
Okay.
Still my friends. No matter what, it's gotta be my friends. That's it.
What if your friends don't have the right answers and they're giving you bad information?
Then I just don't talk to anyone. Who else would I talk to?
Departments. We just talked about
No, I
all these
told you
different
I
places you
don't
can go to.
want school help. I never wanted school help.
I don't know why you're so against it.
I hate counselors. I hate advisors. I hate anybody that tries to help. I don't want it at all.
I don't understand that.
What do you mean you don't understand that? I don't want to. That's all you gotta understand.
Well, I don't understand why you don't want to. Is what I'm
Because I
getting at.
just don't feel
I
like
get
it.
You know, let me ask you this: have you helped anybody belong or be accepted somewhere?
Just my friends.
Do you have anyone? Not you don't have to name them by name, but I mean, do you have anyone in particular you can think of where you've like helped them bridge a gap and find a place they can belong?
Well, I mean, not really. It's just when my friends, like, when we're in a group and one of my friends is like left out or like they're just distant, I go to them and talk to them and try to bring them into conversation. That's it.
So that's nice of you to do that. A lot of people don't. People just don't care.
Yeah, because that's how I was sometimes. So I know how it feels.
Well, I'll tell you what. We were talking about group chats and apps and everything. I think it's time we get into the digital inferno and talk about those digital apps that will help you.
The difference between a lonely semester and a successful one is one click. Don't limit your search for belonging to physical spaces. Utilize apps like Campus Groups or GroupMe to find student organizations' meeting times and social chats instantly. LinkedIn is also essential. Finding alumni who share your identity or interests and reaching out for mentorship can build a supportive network that extends far beyond your campus borders. The Inferno is digital. Back to Murphman to close the segment.
That's right, you guys. You know, we talk about campus groups and group meets and stuff like that. But I think one of the things that people don't realize mostly is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is amazing to find people with your same interests. You know that?
No. Because I've never done LinkedIn.
Well, that's my point. That's why I talk about it. You know, there was a girl that I have on LinkedIn. She had a new job. You know, they post announcements, hey, you know, such and such started a new position. I don't know why I have her added as a friend. I honestly, I don't remember her. But I sent her a message and said, hey, congratulations, you know, on a new position. And then she replied with, are you still at the whatever school? I'm like, no. But I'm like, who is this person that knows who I am? You know what I mean? A lot of people have reached out on LinkedIn, and I've reached out to old people in the military, old friends. The guy who started me in my path of psychology, Dr. Simon Pincus, he's amazing. And I reached out to him and I said, so, you know, how are you doing? And I said, I wanted the opportunity to thank you for everything you've done for me. And he goes, and he tells me, you know, Sean, he says, you were an amazing person to get to know, you know. I'm like, oh, okay, well, thank you, you know. But I remember when I was getting out of the Army, my unit was coming back from Bosnia, and the unit that was replacing them was Dr. Pincus's unit, right? So I want you to think about this. It's a meeting with the top people in the army, in the unit, right? The colonels and majors and everybody, and I'm this little enlisted guy sitting there doing nothing. And the camera comes on because it's a Zoom call. And it's Dr. Pincus. I'm like, Doc Pincus, how you doing? Sean, how you doing? And we started talking, like, how you been? You know, we just started catching up. And then one of the colonels goes, when y'all are done, can we get this meeting started? You know, he was a really amazing guy, you know, and I reached out to him. I also reached out to a few other people that I knew from Cuba, past assignments I've had. My old commander actually reached out to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the one who saved my career in the Army.
Well, saved career. What do you mean saved career?
Okay. Well, I was always fat, and one time I was going to get kicked out of the Army because I was too fat.
Oh.
And that same morning, we got the orders to go to Cuba. And I walked into his office. I'm like, you need me in Cuba. And he's like, yes, I do. He's like, what am I going to do? And I don't know. So they came up with a plan, and pretty much everybody just didn't do anything until I went to Cuba and I did the test there. And everything was fine. But later on, he was investigated for some stuff, and I was a star witness against him.
Oh.
And I never volunteered information that I could have. And it was funny because when it was all said and done, they give the report to the people, right? It's your investigation. They tell you what people said. And he called me into the office. He goes, thank you for lying for me. And I said, first off, I never lied. They never asked me the right question. And I never volunteered anything extra. And what I mean by that is when you're on the stand and, if you're ever a witness, Connor, okay, you got to learn the questions that the lawyers are asking you so you don't get tripped up. You've seen a lot of movies with people in court and everything, right? But if they ask you, do you know what time it is? What's your answer?
Whatever time it is right now.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you, do you know what time it is? I didn't ask you what is the time.
Well, you asked me if I know what the time
it's
is.
a yes or no question.
Then no. I can't tell.
Yeah, I don't have my watch on me or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But that's the point. You ask the questions. You answer the question they're asking you. Don't give more information. In my dad's trials, we had 2 different trials for the guys who killed him. And in the first one, the guy tried attacking my dad's sexuality because my dad was gay. And I told the attorney, he goes, what do you think about your dad's what do you call it? Lifestyle. I said, oh, I thought it was amazing because, we would come back when he was visiting with me. I tried to hook him up with some of my friends who were younger because, he liked younger guys. And my friends who were gay, I was like, hey, you want to meet my dad? And the attorney was just like, oh, okay. Like he couldn't ask me any more questions. And in the second trial, they were asking me questions real specific, and I only answered what he was asking me because I'll give you an example. He asked me, they were trying to say my dad had like a breathing disorder where he couldn't breathe well. So that's why he died when they strangled him. That's basically what the defense was. And when he asked me this, what kind of things did you do with your dad while he was visiting you? And I told him, oh, well, let's see. He helped me get my wife's dress. He helped me decorate the place we had the wedding at. He helped me with the catering. He helped me get everything set up, And the lawyer was like, well, I thought he couldn't do much. I'm like, he wasn't even on oxygen,
Yeah.
But the answer that I gave was a very true answer. But the wedding was in my living room. The catering was 25 people.
Oh.
Made it sound like it was a huge hall and a huge party and everything, right?
When you think about it, I'm just like, oh, wow, you had like hella people there and had a lot of food.
See, so there's a difference between not telling the truth or omitting something
to just answering
lying.
truthfully and
okay.
Well, yeah.
When someone asks me, are you telling me the truth? Yeah, I am. I'm just not telling you everything. Is that how you build trust? No. But if you're being investigated, only answer what they're asking. If you're on the stand and you're a witness, only answer what they're asking. Because you might volunteer something you think is important and screw things up. When I was in charge of a program here with teen mothers, one of the girls was being investigated by CPS for abuse. And one of my caseworkers, we went to a meeting, and the CPS worker says, "Tell me about this girl." And the caseworker talked for about 30 minutes, trying to make the kids sound really, really good. And when we were done, I walked away and I told her as we're walking away, next time they ask you that question, respond with, "What do you want to know?" Because you're saying things that you think are sounding good, but they might misinterpret what you mean by that. Like, of course she spanks her kid, but who doesn't? But I've never seen it be excessive.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we're here, because she abused her kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So only answer what is being asked of you. Just completely sidetracked here. I'm so sorry. But what we were talking about was LinkedIn.
We went from LinkedIn to
my whole life
weddings
story.
to child abuse. I'm like, oh, yeah. I mean, it's all connected.
Well, it is in my brain, at least, right? Have you ever played pinball?
Pinball? Yeah.
Okay, you know how the ball bounces all over the place?
That's how your mind is.
And what does this sound make? Ping, right? My friends, we used to call it a ping. When you're talking and all of a sudden you get off subject, I would just go ping, because your brain's all over the place, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, LinkedIn is a place you can reconnect with friends if you wanted to, or internships. You can reach out to other companies who are in the cybersecurity field here in El Paso. Send them your resume and say, "Hey, I'm interested in doing an internship here," and see who replies. You have a LinkedIn.
Well, I mean, I guess, but I got to log in.
Right.
And make the account.
No, you have one.
I have one?
Yes.
Oh, I do. Yeah, that's right. I do have one.
When you went to your first job interview, you took your resume, remember?
Yeah, but I didn't use LinkedIn.
No, well, you had LinkedIn, but
But
what I
didn't
was
use it,
saying
though.
was, when you gave the guy your resume, what did he say to you? Do you remember?
Well, what did he say? We'll call you when... Oh, no. Wow, what did he say? I forgot. This was like
I'll tell you what he said.
3 years ago.
He said, it's impressive you brought a resume.
Oh, because no one does that anymore.
'Cause no one
That's
does
right,
it.
Yeah. No one brings in resumes in person.
And you have a really nice resume. I mean, it's in the system if you want to see it, right?
Yeah.
But, that LinkedIn page would be where you need to start looking for internships and everything.
Yeah.
Start using it this semester. So if you need help setting it up, I'll be happy to help you update it.
It's fine.
Okay. But as you know, that's the digital inferno. And
Oh, I stubbed my toe. Sorry.
that's the digital inferno. And is there anything else you want to talk about here, Connor, in general, that maybe I missed or haven't covered?
I mean, no, not really. Today's episode was mostly just about finding your people and how to help each other out, I guess. You could say it like that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't have anything else. I think it's time for the final burn. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Here's today's final burn.
The final take from today's discussion is, belonging isn't about blending in. It's about being seen, celebrated, and surrounded by your people.
That's right. It's about being seen and surrounded by your people. You got to find your people. So important. It's one of those things when you think about it, you don't realize how many things you can do to actually improve your situation. You know, going out, making your friends, it changes your whole life. You know, so I want you to go out there. I challenge you to make friends. I challenge you to push your boundaries, try new things, and update LinkedIn and get that started. All right.
I will later on. For sure.
Later on. Well, I will tell you what, before I go, I just want to say, you know, Hot Takes with the Murph Man streams every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern with Military Broadcast Radio. We give veterans a voice and help them launch their own podcast. So if you're interested, hit us up at mbradio.us. And also, Hot Takes with the Murph Man is partnered with 915 Studios, the place for premium content and all our behind-the-scenes footage or some of the webinars that I'm going to be getting put up. We finally got the studio set up and most of the technology is ready to go. So I invite everyone to come check us out at stream915.com. And you can go to purehottakes.com and check out the discount codes and my social medias. If there's nothing else, I think that's it for today, Connor. Everybody have a nice night. Thanks for tuning in.
That's a wrap on this episode. If you're looking for more, you can find all the best clips from the show on our social media pages. For all the links and more information about what we talked about today, visit purehottakes.com. And if you want to watch the full replay or get access to our premium content, subscribe now at stream915.com. We appreciate you tuning in.
Life is like a duck. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Here at Military Broadcast Radio, we're teaming up with our friends at Die Tired, the veteran-friendly music band spreading strength, resilience, and mental health awareness one shirt at a time.
And check this out. Their brand new shirts feature broadcast beaker right on the breast pocket. A reminder that you can weather the storm, and you're never alone.
Shirts are only $25, and proceeds support giving veterans a voice. MBR's mission to teach veterans how to podcast and videocast. Because when our vets are talking, they're not overthinking. They're not second-guessing. Together, we stop the 22 stigma. Grab your shirt today at mbradio.us and hit the shop. Or go directly to toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband. That's toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband.
Suit up, stand strong.
Remember, we're unduckable together.
You're built tougher than the storm.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.